Hey everyone, and welcome back to my Completionist playthrough of the Baldur's Gate Saga with SCS, and in this episode we're going to finally confront Bodhi. But first we have some leveling to do, and Senashira is going to be level 19 already, and that means another level 8 memorization slot and also level 7 coming from her high level ability. And let's actually give her some spells there already. Alright, and we also have a level up to do on Imoen, who is going to become a level 25 cleric, and this is yet another major level up for him, because he is going to receive his holy symbol now, and we're going to take a look at that in a moment. And when it comes to his high level abilities, I think we're going to go with the Aura of Flaming Death this time. And now when we unpause, his holy symbol is going to be created, and there it is, Holy Symbol of Helm. And this is actually a little role-playing oriented change that the Enhanced Edition makes, because in the classic Baldur's Gate 2 he would have gotten the symbol of Lathander, considering that he is lawful good aligned now. And basically there are three of those symbols in the game, of Lathander, of Helm, and of Talos. And every cleric, once they get to level 25, gets one of them, depending on their alignment. That kind of reflects their connection to either a good or neutral or evil aligned deity. But of course Imoen, being the cleric of Helm that he is, this one fits him the most. And all of these symbols do the exact same thing. Those are items that are equipable in the ring slot. And what this is going to give Imoen is +1 strength, so that means that without any of his buffs, or if his buffs get dispelled, he is only going to go down to 19 strength, which is very good. And then it also gives him an additional 5% magic resistance, which can be stacked with some other stuff. And I think in the future, once we give the Ring of Gax to Imoen, he's going to have 25% magic resistance, which is pretty nice. And also it will allow him to memorize another level 6 and level 7 cleric spell, which is very good. And I think we're going to do a little switch here when it comes to protection items. We're going to give the ring +2 to Kirinai, and Imoen is going to have the cloak of protection +2. And yeah, now he has 19 strength. Very nice. Also, we're going to switch some of our equipment here already. We're going to give different weapons to Kirinai. We're going to get the Boots of Speed to Imoen. We're also going to give this scroll of spell immunity to concentration to Kirinai. We can stash those. Also, I have prepared the Girdle of Fortitude on Senashira to improve her constitution. Also, we have another Potion of Defense. And we have these gauntlets that we looted in the previous episode. And those are the gauntlets of weapon expertise. Remember those from Baldur's Gate 1? Well, now, finally, we get access to them in Baldur's Gate 2 as well. And I think for now, Jaheira is going to get them. And there's going to be another pair of gauntlets that are very similar to those, but even better. And I think one of them is going to go to Kirinai in the future, but for now I think we're going to stick to her like armor class based setup, especially for this upcoming fight. Alright, so I think we are now ready to proceed and descend. And here we're going to have our bodies present already, and Arcanus is going to disarm that trap for us. That was over here, and he would do the same thing with this other one, but not if we are faster, so we can at least get a little experience for that. But yeah, now comes the time to confront Bodhi for the second time, and now that she has been revitalized with Imoen's soul, I guess, our encounter is going to be much tougher. So just to give a description of her abilities, she's a level 25 fighter thief. She starts out with 228 hit points, but that's just the starting amount, and we're going to elaborate on that in a second. She also has 75% magic resistance and 25% physical damage resistance. She is immune to electricity, cold, and poison, and has 50% magic damage resistance. So that means that the only two elements that deal full damage to her are fire and acid. She also has 24 strength, 5 attacks per round. She's very deadly in melee, especially considering the fact that she drains 5 levels per hit, and her Drink Blood ability drains 5 constitution points per use. She also regenerates 4 HP per second, although we are going to be able to cut that in half to quote-unquote only 2 HP per second, and that's, you know, 2 hit points per second, not per round, so that's 12 per round. And also she's going to get a full heal once, or the first time she gets to near-death status. And she also has access to a variety of vampiric abilities, and when it comes to them, most of them have a kind of a direct or a very similar equivalent into an already existing spell in the game. But there's a couple of general differences between her abilities and those spells. First of all, They are all treated as level 0 innate abilities, and that means that they can bypass various magical protections. The second thing is that they all bypass magic resistance as well, with just a tiny exception. Her Horrid Wilting spell, basically half of the damage can be stopped by magic resistance, but the other half just goes through. Also, her abilities that deal cold damage deal specifically magic cold damage, which means that they are just more difficult to protect against. And finally, these abilities either grant us no save at all, or our saving throws are going to have to be made with a -10 penalty. So her abilities usually do work. And when it comes to her spells, I think I'm going to list them on the screen, but the most important ones are her Cloud of Bats, which, differently from the lesser vampires, her Cloud of Bats is not equivalent to the level 3 Summon Insects spell, but rather the level 7 Creeping Doom spell. And this can deal a ton of damage and also give us spell failure. And this one actually even prevents us from unleashing our sequencers successfully. So of course, for spellcasters, that is just extremely detrimental. And also she has basically a cold-based Horrid Wilting, a pretty potent AoE spell at her disposal. So we're going to have to protect ourselves against that. And she can also blind, she can slow. She has a kind of a greater command equivalent, but we are going to be protected with chaotic commands. But basically, also when it comes to her attacks and abilities, because on her normal attacks, she basically has kind of a Larlock's Minor Drain on them, kind of similar to the upgraded Fobane, I guess. But also some of her spells can restore her health and actually increase her maximum health pool. So that's why I said that she starts out with 228 hit points, but she can actually go very quickly up to around 260 hit points. But I also mentioned that we can cut her regeneration in half, and that's when we use that holy water that we got from Elhan and his elves. There's going to be some pools of blood that we're going to be able to purify with our holy water, and what that is going to do is cut her regeneration in half, also apply a slow effect on her, and also deal some minor amount of damage, but more importantly make her not immune anymore to certain status effects. She is still going to be immune to a lot of stuff, but after purifying those pools of blood, she is going to be able to be blinded, for example. And that's why we have those Soul's Searing Orbs on Imoen. But more on that a little bit later. So now we're going to have to prepare, using our different buffs. And I think Imoen and Edwin are not really going to take much part in this encounter, but we still are going to give them some buffs. And I think now we are also going to use our protection from cold on our 3 main characters. Of course, the real main actress, as always, is going to be Senashira, but we're also going to have Imoen and Kiranai in the fight. So we're going to give them that protection from cold. Oh yeah, now he says that he's going to disarm that trap, but you are way too slow, Arcanis. Alright, so what that spell did was give us 50% of this magic cold resistance, and we are going to augment that with some other spells. But first we are going to also give chaotic commands to our other people. I think we may even give Iron Skins to Jaheira. She might take a little part in this encounter. And we're going to give chaotic commands to Imoen, I guess, and also to two of our bodies here. We're going to give one to Arcanis and one to Eric Van Straden. This is pretty cool that we can also, buff our friends here with different spells. Alright, now we are going to be able to improve Senashira's constitution. That's of course because of that 5 constitution drain that Bodhi has at her disposal. And we're also going to drink this potion of defense to improve her armor class. Alright, then we're going to give her spell shield. There are going to be 2 mages in that encounter as well. But they shouldn't be too much trouble, I think. Well, it's going to basically depend on how our remove magics and how our sun rays work. So this fight can either go like very smooth, or sometimes can get kind of out of control and become pretty problematic. We'll see how it's going to go. I'm going to give Blur to Senashira. We're also going to have a round of mirror images. Now we're going to apply both fire shields on Senshira. Actually, let's do that again.
Yes.
So that fire shield blue is going to give her another 50% magic cold resistance, so now she is protected completely. Alright, and that fire shield red is just to be able to reflect some fire damage on Bodhi, perhaps, or some other vampires that might want to attack Senashira. And we're also actually going to do a little fire shield on Imoen soon, just for the same purpose, just to be able to reflect some damage. And here on Senashira, we are going to now apply these protection from the elements spells. And these ones give us 75 magic cold protection, so they are going to, of course, stack with the protection from cold that Edwin applied. And we are going to be protected on Imoen and Kirinai as well.
Stand amongst the righteous.
Yeah, as you can see, his magic cold is now 125. That means that cold damage is actually going to heal him a little bit. Alright, and now, before we go, we need spell immunity to abjuration and spell immunity to conjuration. Oh yeah, and those spell immunities to conjuration are there because that creeping doom kind of cloud of bats of Bodhi is going to be stopped by our spell immunity to conjuration. This is a conjuration ability still. So this is incredibly important on Senashira, primarily. But not so much on Kirinai, but this is still going to allow her to avoid a lot of damage. Oh yeah, Imoen can get the fire shield. And he is going to get also righteous magic.
Speak.
While Senashira, I don't think we need much more on Senashira. She's just going to enter the fight with True Seeing, because this should block, I think, Bodhi's blindness, and we're also going to have True Seeing going on Imoen. And this also is going to provide us with the benefit of being able to, you know, take the vampires out of stealth, especially the two mages. There's going to be 2 level 16 mages on in this fight, introduced by SCS. Alright, we can get True Seeing as well. And now we just need to haste everybody. And our final touch here is going to be this limited wish.
What is it? Speak. Without yes, this will not take long.
And Senashira is going to activate that and give everyone negative plane protection. And of course this only lasts for 5 rounds, and this is also a kind of a major thing about this fight. If we can get it, you know, create a good situation for ourselves in the first couple of rounds, basically in our limited time where we can basically use everybody, you know, this is going to be much better for us. But like I said, we don't have much time, because of course that negative plane protection only lasts for 5 rounds. Everyone got it. We're also going to have Kirinai kind of in the fight for a little bit longer, because she has her Avoid Death, which she can use you know, after this negative plane protection is going to fade. And we also have the 2 casts on Imoen, but it's not always going to be available for him to like renew this on Jaheira. So Jaheira might not be able to do too much in this encounter. So we're going to have this spell immunity to conjuration on Kirinai. Oh yeah, and we also want her to have the Helm of Brilliance.
Speak.
Alright, and we're basically going to keep the rest of our party kind of close to the door, but we're only going to enter with Senashira here, just to not incentivize her to cast that cloud of bats and it spreading to our characters that are not protected, primarily Imoen. Also our friends here started...
And so it shall end here. Welcome. You have been very resourceful in finding me, although I did not go out of my way to hide.
I was just saying that our recruited companions also entered. But yeah, apparently she did not go out of her way to hide. You should have made more of an effort. We have an obligation to destroy you, as if we needed more reasons. I have grown tired of chasing you across the realms, Bodhi. Your death will ease the suffering of many.
I've come for what you stole from me. I will not leave here empty. I will have my soul.
So you can feel that this is, supposed to be a serious boss fight here with our characters chiming in with their own reasons to defeat Bodhi. And she's going to also touch on something else here in this conversation. That, we should have thought that she is in Sultan Esselar, but apparently we must have conferred with the treacherous elves. They deserve all they receive, and more. They will not even approach us while we destroy them. Such is their arrogance. Let them shiver in fear that they will die between me and Irenicus. They would not even acknowledge us as their own, and now we will bury them all. So why should they acknowledge your filth? Fool, they would have you think we are some foreign intruders, attacking their city for no reason. Their shame is that Irenicus and I are very familiar indeed. No elf would dare turn against the others. No elf would endanger the very fabric of their society, and no elf would do as Irenicus and I have done. Who was it that pled their case? Elhan? He stood by while they echoed their crimes, or our crimes and their punishments. I should almost let you live so that he could have the shame of an outsider questioning him about this whole matter. Almost. Well, we are going to experience that. But, yeah. Of course, she wants to feast on our blood. And as you can see, we can purify these pools of blood here. She's also going to have a lot of these Grim Warder archers here. And also a couple of vampires are going to show themselves. They are right now in bat form, but they are going to appear. And her two mage buddies here are Hazar Maveth and Manasseh. And they are level 16 mages with some protections. They both, of course, are invisible. But we should be able to dispel that quite quickly. And Hazar Maveth has minor spell turning. Improved haste as well. Alright, this doesn't seem like too difficult to get through. Anyway, we are going to carefully bring some of our other characters here. Perhaps Edwin with his spell sequencer as well. But first we're going to just purify the pools of blood. So yeah, she unleashed her cloud of bats, and as you can see, this deals like 2 damage per tick, and these ones are going to tick very, very quickly. Alright, now that yeah, the effect is there. So she took like 20 damage out of that, but of course the most important things about that purification is the fact that she regenerates less and is slowed. And now we're going to unleash our remove magic sequencer upon all of them, and we'll see how effective that's going to be. Also, we might already approach with Kiranai to unleash her Sun Ray, and also with Imoen, I think. Alright, so it seems like it was successful on Manasseh, and where's that other guy? Hazar Maveth is this one. So we were successful on all of them. So we're going to quickly unleash that holy word on them to give them that 50% spell failure status.
Yes?
Okay, and there is a traffic jam apparently, and Senshira cannot really get to one of them. Alright, and Kiranai is going to unleash our Sun Ray coming from her Helm of Brilliance.
I shall go forth at your
What
command.
is it? Certainly.
Right, Senshira does have to go around.
I am
Also, we might have Jaheira battling some of these
Speak.
fledgling vampires. Okay, Manasseh actually died from our Sun Ray. That's very, very good. So it seems like only Hazar Maveth is active, and really need to get through to him quickly. And also, I think that holy word must have gotten out. Yeah, it doesn't really give an animation on anyone that's affected by that, but they are going to be affected. They do have, or Hazar Maveth has this 50% spell failure effect on him now.
Yes?
Alright, this spell was cast. We need to kind of get close to him and just quickly defeat him before he can unleash any spell triggers of his own or something like that.
I go. Next time. Speak.
Alright, our buddies are dealing some damage to these inconsequential characters there. Right, it seems like Bodhi did one Constitution drain, and the guy was able to cast Remove Magic successfully, and that dispelled us. So let's see if
Yes.
Alright, it seems like our chaotic commands stayed, but the negative plane protection on Jaheira stayed, but not on Kirinai. So we are going to have to use her avoid death right now, just to make her immune to level drain for an additional 5 rounds. And is that... let me just quickly... Alright, Hazar Maveth died as well, so this is very good. Now we just have these normal vampires to deal with, and Bodhi, of course.
Yes?
So actually, I think I'm going to ignore everyone, almost. Maybe just kill some of these vampires and get Imoen kind of out of there, because he was the target of Bodhi. And what we want to do on Imoen right now is cast this Soul's Searing Orb. This is something that's, you know, like I explained in the previous episode, I think, when we memorized this spell, this is going to create a projectile that he can't transfer onto anyone else, and that projectile only stays active for like 2 or 3 rounds, so that's why I did not precast it, because it disappears very quickly. But he is going to have to throw it, and he might miss with that, so that's why we have 2 copies of that spell. And this, of course, bypasses magic resistance and doesn't give Bodhi a saving throw, and this is going to deal some damage to her, but more importantly, it's going to blind her, further incapacitating or that like decreasing her physical damage capabilities. Also, we have 16 Constitution. Some fledgling vampire must have drained 2 points of Constitution from Senashira, but anyway, let's continue there. And I think Senashira should be able to activate her mantle here. Okay, very nice. Now she's protected from Bodhi for a couple of rounds. She's not going to be drained or damaged, which is what we want here. I think what we might even do is keep Edwin kind of far away from the battle, but he still should be able to unleash a nice horrid wilting that should deal some damage to these like minor creatures there. Alright, let's now track Imoen's progress here. Alright, do you have your avoid death? You do. So Kirinai can also like just help in reducing this traffic jam here. And you know what, Jaheira, you stay kind of away. You might help us defeat these guys. Alright, so Imoen does have this searing orb, and now we need to find Bodhi. There she is, and let's see if he actually succeeds with that throw. Alright, he did. So now she is blinded, she received some damage, and now I think we are going to just focus on her. But I think before we do that, we are going to quickly renew this negative plane protection on Jaheira, because that should probably expire very soon. And we're not going to be too interested with these other creatures anymore. We're just going to focus our damage on Bodhi. And we really have to focus our damage onto her because of her regeneration. And she still has good physical stats. She has like -10 armor class, I think. So we really do want to focus all of our efforts into damaging her. Alright, so we dealt some damage to some vampires, grim warders and whatnot. Thank you, Edwin. Just stay safe over there. And we also have renewed now our protection on Jaheira, and actually, you know what, guys, just go to safety. Alright, Bodhi is injured. Let's attack her for a bit with Imoen. The weapon ineffective message is from Senashira's offhand. Bodhi requires +3 weapons to be hit. And let's just take a quick look at our constitution here. We're still fine. We can still take 2 drains from Bodhi, so this is going very well. Our friends are kind of, or got rid of the other like minor creatures, and we can really focus on her.
No, it's mine. This life is mine.
So now she's going to get that full heal. As you can see, she was fully healed to uninjured. And I think now we can also try and give her a little implosion, give her a little fire and physical damage, something that she is vulnerable to, and continue with our onslaught. Also, we kind of have to monitor her avoid death. Alright, that's her. Jaheira is not protected from that chill of the grave. That's her basically horrid wilting that deals cold damage. But it might interrupt Imoen's spell. He might be too close to her. And yeah, of course, Kirinai... Oh yeah, Kirinai's protections must have gotten dispelled. And Drizzt died from that. He has actually 100% magic resistance, and as you can see, he failed his save against... oh, actually, this spell does not give any saves, I think. It's just the blindness and slow, and I think that greater command that have the -10 saving throw, and the other spells I don't think give any saving throw. So half of the damage he avoided by magic resistance, and actually Kirinai as well, but the other half apparently was enough to kill him. And Drizzt has actually 100% magic resistance, but you know, sometimes he dies. He got just injured too much by some of the other vampires. Alright, so our implosion hit and dealt like 42 damage. Pretty nice. Now we can get back to attacking her manually. And yeah, we of course got hit by some of that cold damage because that remove magic coming from Hazar Maveth must have you know, removed at least some of her protections. And she's actually not protected against magic cold at all now. It removed everything. But anyway, it's going nicely here. Kirinai is the target of Bodhi's attacks, but she is doing fine for now. And we should be triumphant soon. Alright, so that was her another powerful spell, Touch of Death, which is kind of like an AoE. This is kind of hard to compare to any spell that exists. It's kind of like Finger of Death, but it's also kind of like Vampiric Touch. And as you can see, it deals some pretty heavy magic damage. And that actually makes me realize that I forgot to to pre-buff us with our protection from magic energy here. So we're taking way more damage than we should. But we are close to defeating her. Okay, unfortunately she shapeshifted into a bat, which is going to allow her to regenerate. And we need to change our scripts here because Jaheira and Kirinai were not in the process of attacking Bodhi, but they drank their potions and now they have to retarget her. Alright, and there we go. Jaheira getting the killing blow here. 91,000 experience, by the way. And yeah, Eric Van Straten, of course, thanks us for a nice fight. And I guess Arcanus and Drizzt both died.
Something good to go?
Doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, there is our triumph here. So Bodhi is finally dead. Oh, here's another straggler. There might be one in this room as well. Okay, it's not. But of course, Bodhi retreated to her coffin here, and we are going to allow Imoen to do the honors, of course, and strike the wooden stake through Bodhi's heart. It is time to end this. Boom!
I feel better now. I feel whole again. Thank you for everything you have done. I am restored. And I hope your own healing is not too far off.
So, hooray! Imoen now has her soul back. She should, you know, get back to normal with time. We also get even more experience from that. A big chunk of experience is gained by destroying Bodhi. And finally, she is no more. Sweet. And now, Imoen also retrieved the Rin Lanthorn. That, of course, dispels falsehoods and illusions. And now we will be able to uncover Soldaneselar. And also has Bodhi's Black Heart, which is going to just basically be a trophy for Imoen. It's going to stay in her inventory. It's kind of a keepsake.
What do you want?
And it has a use, but not in our playthrough, because in the case that you are in a romance with one of the characters in your party, and of course that character gets kidnapped by Bodhi, and here in this battle we would have to face off against them as well as our enemy. And after killing our former companion, we would be able to retrieve their body and take the Black Heart of Bodhi and get them restored. And basically how that works is explained in these 3 books here. So let's just take a quick look. Here we have Dea Vampir Becomos, and basically all 3 of these books are going to hint that we should go to the Temple of Ogma in Athkatla to get some clues, because apparently they were stolen, I guess, from the temple. And throughout the 3 books, There's also some notes from Bodhi. I'm going to kind of scroll slowly if you want to pause and read in detail for yourself. But basically, we can get some hints that the power of Amaunator was apparently able to reverse the curse of vampirism if a vampire was turned not too long ago, especially when his master, the vampire who cursed him with vampirism, also was defeated. And that basically all hints to what we need to do here to restore our companion. We would have to take their body and the black heart of Bodhi to the ruins of the Amaunator's temple in Umar Hills. And there, in that room with the floor tiles with the letters, where in order to get to the other side of the room we had to spell the name Amaunator, on the other side of that room there would be a little altar, and there you would be able to put the body of your companion and the heart of Bodhi, and through the power of Amaunator there would be restored, and you would be able to get your companion back. But we really have no use for these books, especially since if we go to the Temple of Ogma, since we don't have that situation with our fallen companion in need to be restored, we are actually not going to get the conversations with the monk in the Temple of Ogma. And there's also a book merchant in Imnisvale, in that inn. We have met the book merchant, and he actually also can give you some clues upon taking a look at these books that we should try and go to the Temple of Amaunator. We also get a short sword +4, just a plain +4 short sword from that container. And here we're going to have some minor loot from the other opponents. Okay, here's Arcanus's Gath's stuff that we will be able to take. And there should be stuff of Drizzt as well, but I'm not sure where he died. Normally you can retrieve Drizzt stuff, but it gets taken away soon. Right, let's just identify that with our goggles. Cutthroat +4, just a plain short sword with a +4 enchantment. We're not going to keep that. And yeah, here's where Arcanus Gath died. You can retrieve some of his stuff.
Yes, this will not take long.
I'm not sure where Drizzt stuff is. Anyway, I'm going to take a look at it in more detail in between episodes, because this is going to be the time where we're going to end this one. But yeah, that's it. Bodhi is killed, Imoen is restored, and all that matters now is to restore our own soul, Senashira's soul, but this is going to take a while longer yet. But anyway, I thank you for watching this one. I hope you enjoyed our battle with Bodhi, and I'll see you next time.